And I was having to actually, and I've had this conversation with him, I was having to learn how to be a person. Like, because I realized that all I was a walking trauma response.
Yeah.
I didn't have personality. I didn't have like likes and dislikes. I was literally just like a walking trauma response. That was my whole personality.
Hey guys, I'm Tanner, and I'm your host of The Pod at ROLC. This is a podcast dedicated to help you grow in your faith. Whether you're a new believer, a longtime follower, or maybe you're just somewhere in between, this is the podcast for you. Make sure to like and share, and let's get into today's episode of The Pod. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Pod at ROLC. We know. We're late.
It's been a hot minute.
Look, we've had, it's summertime, and no, we've not been out to the lake. We've been taking kids to camp, and we've had this going, and our Caden, the guy that handles all the editing on this, he's been like youth camp and kids camp, and it's just been crazy. So we know we have missed you, but we are glad that we are finally back, finally recording. I cannot promise that during the summer that we're going to stay on a regular schedule, but this is our best attempt at it right now.
They're not on a regular schedule either. Honestly. I feel like some grace is going to be given. Your kids are out of school. You're crazy, and
you don't even know what day it is.
They really don't know what day it is unless they have like a job or chores. They're like, I don't know what day it is. Like some of our youth kids sleep till 2:00 in the afternoon. And I'm like, how do you do that in your life? I don't know, but
honestly, and I'll introduce you guys here in just a second. But you guys have children.
Yeah.
It's not school. Do you let them sleep as late as they want? Is it normal bedtime? What are we doing?
We don't really have a choice on that because I leave before they wake up, and she comes home from working overnights and goes straight to bed. So they just kind of do.
They just do what they want?
Yeah, for the first half of the day, yeah.
Do they sleep past noon?
Probably some.
Dalen does.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Dale
Dale.
does.
Dale sleeping past
Sleep until noon.
I totally. I've been talking to a lot of the kids already, and like, there's a few, but most of them, I'm like, what time did you get up today? 2. Like p.m.
Like 2 o'clock.
What have you been doing? Playing Fortnite all night, or playing Call of Duty, or whatever. And I was like, that is crazy. But so we are here. We are back. Thank you for watching today's episode, or listening, or however it is that you're getting this content to you. We do have a couple of very special guests today, and I want to introduce them here. Brent and Grace Rayner. Thank you guys so much for being here, for being on the podcast with us. So glad to have you guys. And funny story here, we've already tried this one time.
We did, we tried.
You guys were here. We were not. So this is totally on me. Caden had said, hey, I talked with Brent and Grace about doing a podcast. This one I scheduled it for. I said, awesome. There's no way I can make that happen. And, I forgot about it. And that was like it. And so
it didn't go on the calendar.
We didn't get put on the calendar.
If it's not on the calendar, it's not happening.
Didn't go in the cloud.
Exactly.
Totally not throwing this on him either. This is me.
Exist.
This is my thing. And that day rolls around, and you call.
I got a text message, and my phone was like at the other end of the house, and I hear it go off, and I was like, okay. So I go over there and I check it, and I just scream out, "Oh, Tanner!" And he comes running in there. He's like, "What?" And I was like, "We forgot." And he was like, "What is happening?" And I was like, "Brent and Grace are at the church for the podcast."
So in that moment, I felt like 100% dirt. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I totally forgot. We even had the conversation, and I jokingly just told him, nope, that ain't happening. And then there you were.
And so Grace was like, it's okay. We have kid free, so we're going to go to dinner.
Yeah, it was actually really nice.
Okay, but like, I'm so sorry.
So here we are for real.
We made it this time.
For real,
it's happening.
This time.
We made it, so thank you guys for being here. But
everybody's here. We're good.
Did you have any doubts today?
No, I did not this time. Not this time, no.
Good.
No.
I have never. Honestly, this is like, knock on wood, whatever, toot my own horn thing. Like, I don't really forget a lot of things, ever.
You're welcome.
And then for that, I was just like,
right. Yeah, definitely.
No, this is not good. So we're glad you're here. Today's episode is going to have, I feel like, a lot of really good stuff in it. And honestly, the direction is just we kind of have a little bit of an idea of where we want to go with this episode. Mm-hmm. This episode really started with what we're going to talk about, I think, at the beginning. Because this was like a couple months ago, and I was just telling people at the church, like, hey, if you have a story about this, come talk to me. And so you guys were like, we have a story about said subject. We'd love to talk to you about it. And so originally this was going to be like a 5-minute video to show on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is too much stuff. This has got to be an episode. It's got to be a podcast episode. So we're going to get into that. And but again, thank you guys for being here. So to kind of get into this story a little bit, because that's really what this is. One, people love stories, I think. People could care less about, like I do these podcasts and I invest these hours into like, here's 5 ways to, like I'm Dave Ramsey, like here's 5 ways to transform your life or whatever. And people don't care, but people love stories.
Let's be honest, like people are pretty nosy. Like they want to know.
Sure. You
Like
gotta
give
get
us
the
the
insights.
deets.
Yeah.
They want
Spill
the
the
tea.
tea.
Especially if
Yeah.
you're like, that's somebody to go to church with. What are they saying? What's it
Yeah.
like that? We know you're nosy, okay? We
We know
understand.
it's
We know that you're
all
nosy.
nosy. All of you.
If
And-
you want to know more, just text us and you can come for dinner.
Yeah.
We'll tell you more.
Okay, there you
For
go.
sure.
The
There you
tea
go.
will be spilt over dinner.
Buy him dinner, and you can have all the info you want.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you everything.
And so in this, I want to hear about not just where we're headed at the end, but for you guys, I just want to say first and foremost, thank you to the both of you for serving here.
Yeah.
You guys are both involved heavily here at the church, so I just want to say thank you for your giving of your time, your sacrifices, and thank you for bringing your kids, for having them involved. And right now we have all 3.
All 3.
Oh my gosh.
All
Yeah.
We have all 3 of your kids
All
right
3.
now in youth.
Yes.
And it's just like, and they're also different too. And that's what's really fun. They're all totally different
Yeah,
kids.
definitely.
Yes, they are.
One's quiet, one's mouthy, one sleeps till noon. It's just
Yeah,
like
sounds about
all
right.
these different, dynamics of it. And, but they're all such great kids. And we love having them. But I just want to start by saying that. Just thank you guys for all that you do here for this house and involved in it. And so I kind of want to hear, because for me, in my mind, and we talk about this all the time, I can never remember how long people have been going to church. I just assume that people have been here as long as I've been here, since the beginning. Like, you helped Pastor unlock the doors the first time that they ever stepped. Like in my mind, like everybody's
walked
just
in.
been here forever, or they're a first-time guest. Like, there's no like in between. Like, you've just been here forever. And so I want to hear a little bit of, as far as like your guys' story of just leading up to how you guys got here. How you guys even met each other, some of those dynamics, and really just how you started this journey, I guess, together.
Give us all the deets.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some stories. Honestly, I picked him up in the clearance aisle at Walmart.
Yep. Half
It
price.
was-
Roll back.
Roll back.
Yeah, he was a return. It's fine.
Kind of true.
Oh.
Actually, yeah.
Oh.
Sent back.
Actually, I was Christmas shopping at Walmart. Not exactly in the clearance aisle, but close enough. And he was hanging out with a mutual friend of ours, and we just ran into each other. And you know how it is at Walmart. And hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in forever. And oh, this is my friend. Oh, it's nice to meet you. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. I went on with my Christmas shopping, and they went and I don't know what they did.
And then shortly after that is where it got kind of creepy. No.
Yeah, that's my bad. So,
Hey, remember that time at Walmart? The clearance
oh,
aisle?
it was more. He woke up one morning with like 50
Is it-
notifications
she like-
from my Facebook profile.
She like this. She like this.
I saw
she
you had
like
that Charmin
this, she
toilet
like
paper
this.
in your car. Like, I use Charmin, like extra soft.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was actually a couple weeks later. I was traveling for work, and I work overnights. I have for years. I much prefer working overnights. And it's 3:00 in the morning, and there's nothing to do. So you scroll Facebook.
In healthcare, not like
Oh yeah,
dealing, not
yeah.
like dealing
I'm a
drugs
nurse.
or whatever.
Well, I mean,
Let's clarify.
kind of
I
dealing
mean,
drugs.
Kind of dealing drugs.
Kind
I
of dealing
guess.
drugs, actually.
Yeah, I'm licensed to deal
Okay,
drugs. So,
so
that's what
there
it
we
is.
go.
So yeah,
You know who to call.
yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, I was scrolling Facebook, and our mutual friend shared one of his posts, and it was really funny. And I am a sucker for funny people. So I clicked on his profile, and I'm scrolling, and like everything, I'm just like
3 a.m.
cackling
doom
at it. The
scroll.
nurses, yeah, it was funny. So and then I realized I had liked several of his posts, and I was like, oh, this is weird. So I friend requested
like,
him.
actually had to scroll.
I only had like 2 patients at the time, and they were asleep.
So what else do you do? Yeah.
What else do you do? So I sent him a friend request, and I was like, I'm going to message him because he may not even remember who I am. Because this was like 3 weeks, 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
it was a while later.
A little while later.
And so I messaged him. I was like, hey, I met you with so-and-so at Walmart that one time. I just thought your posts were funny. have a good day. And I didn't think anything else of it. And I don't remember what you were doing. What were you doing?
I was, when I finally realized that I was like standing in line at McDonald's getting breakfast, it was my first day of work for the year. And I was waiting to find out where I was going to be traveling to after that. And after that, just kind of texted back and forth, tried to meet up, tried to hang out, and it just kept on not working. But we eventually got it done.
Yeah, we talked a lot during that time. Like, it was constant texting, calling multiple times a day. And it was just nice conversation. It was refreshing because it was just good conversation. You don't get that when you're dating nowadays. It's terrifying.
I can't imagine going back through.
No.
I don't think I could do it again.
There's no way.
We honestly, and maybe this is wrong. You can let us know if this is wrong. Look, people have really been on the whole kick about the whole pizza in the crust, pizza in the Mountain Dew thing from one podcast episode.
Oh, yeah.
People have really continually been talking about it. So maybe this will be your next conversation piece. But sometimes, we have that conversation of, the, God forbid something's happened to you, but,
wouldn't do it again.
would you ever date again? And it's just I have met people nowadays.
I have to talk to them.
I said, listen, if anything ever happened to him, I would be single the rest of my life.
Forever. Single forever.
I would be a crazy dog
Yep.
lady.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I would do the same way.
I would do.
Another
It's not
air
wrong.
fryers, I don't need to have somebody cook. I have an air fryer, so I can
Exactly.
handle that.
End up on
Exactly.
Bandit number 10.
Yes. Yeah, I just couldn't do it again.
Have you heard of those people that buy the same dog over and over and over? Because we know what happens to dogs. But I've heard of these people that they will buy, say, a golden retriever of this color, and then once that dog gets so old, they buy another from the exact same
Yep.
litter, blah blah blah.
Yep.
And then when that dog goes next door and doesn't come back,
Goes to the farm.
goes to the farm, then they have the same one. I've heard of people doing this for
Yep.
50, 60 years of their life, have
Yep.
the same.
No.
So
I have family members that do that. It gets really confusing.
Okay,
Because
see?
you're
This
looking
is-
through family photos and you're like, oh, I remember that dog. And they're like,
No,
no,
you
that
don't.
dog died
This
like
dog's
5
outlived
years
Uncle
before
Carl
that,
by like
blah, blah,
60
blah.
years.
Yeah, and you're like, it's the same dog. No, it's not the same dog.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, yes.
Kudos to you guys for doing the whole dating thing
Yeah.
again.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we managed 2 whole dates in like a 2-month period. And then I ended up having 3 kids. So,
Just
yeah,
all at once?
just all at
Yeah.
once.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a medical miracle.
I know, right? It was amazing.
Were you aware of this?
I was. She told me about it. Was actually her 2 nieces and her nephew.
Yeah.
And she called me kind of panicked because they weren't being treated the best. So
It wasn't kind of panic. It was full blown.
It was really panic because you were actually in Wisconsin at the time.
I was on contract in Wisconsin, working a crisis contract up there, and at that time I had my truck, my dog, 3 suitcases, and a 5x10 storage unit that was empty except for a mattress and a bookshelf and a chair.
And then she had to find somewhere to put 3 kids.
And then all of a sudden I had 3 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
All
fun.
at once, yeah. So I actually called him, and he kind of knew a little bit about the situation, but this
Yeah.
was very unexpected. Me ending up with the kids was very unexpected. And I called him and I explained the situation. I was like, hey, I have emergency guardianship legally over these kids. My life is completely different now. And I know that you have some stuff going on. So if you want to bow out from this potential relationship,
Here's your chance.
no hard feelings, no, I completely respect that. No problem at all. It's just, things are not going to be what I thought they were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, well, where are you? And I was like, oh, I'm at my dad's house. And he goes, okay, so it's you and 3 kids, your dad and your stepmom, and I'm assuming your best friend. And I was like, yeah, we're all at this tiny 2-bedroom, 900 felt like square foot house, all in this house. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay, I'll just bring pizza. And I was like, I had no response to that because I was done. I was like, well, I'm never going to be single again.
Wasn't even the only
This
time
is my
she gave
hand.
me an out.
I'm a size 8. Put a ring on it.
6.5, actually.
Well, you guys are the same ring size. Wow.
Fancy.
It's amazing. I only know that because she actually just lost a diamond off of one of hers their day.
Oh,
So
I didn't get
Not
an
good.
engagement ring.
That was fun things of like what happened at camp. I
Oh,
came
no.
back from camp.
Oh,
and
no.
So who knows where
It's
it's,
in
at
Texas.
between here and
So
Texas.
she has one
Or a
coming from
van.
TikTok Shop for the time being until we figure out. We had a place in town and they shut down now.
Yeah.
So you're pizza man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saves
Yeah.
the day. Well, look, pizza cures everything.
Pizza
Look, people,
really
listen.
does.
Helps a lot.
Every episode we keep talking about pizza.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're not getting anything else aside from the biblical stuff, eat pizza.
Eat pizza.
Pizza.
It has all the food groups.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
handles, yeah. And if
Full
it doesn't, you
screen
can
pizza.
add
Exactly.
dessert pizza,
Oh,
Absolutely.
breakfast
dessert
pizza,
Yes.
Canadian bacon and pineapple.
I'll do that.
I love Canadian bacon.
Oh, let's go.
I'll do that.
I'll eat it, but it's not my all-time favorite.
People
Yeah.
are gonna rake us
I
to
like
the
to add
coals.
olives
That's-
to
that's
mine.
fine.
I love it. Okay, so you show up with pizza. You
Yep.
got 3 kids.
She's got 3 kids. I had 1. And we just decided to figure it out.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. It was crazy.
How long ago was this, roughly?
2017.
2017. Yeah. We have to think about dates because we can't.
Neither one of us
We
do
don't even
well.
know when our anniversary is.
I was blessed with a woman that doesn't keep track of the anniversary.
I don't. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's just the 10th of that month.
Yes.
Love it.
And it works
Yes.
so
Perfect.
well.
Yeah.
I don't have to
Whatever.
remember.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we started figuring it out, working things out. We had court dates, legal costs, all the drama, therapy, baby mamas, baby daddies. It was crazy. And we're trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out how to be a parent because I went from a dog mom to like an actual parent. That is a huge transition.
Especially with like not just one, but like 3 or potentially 4. Like,
Yeah.
Eventually 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, whenever you're young, you have this idea of what it's going to be like to be a parent. Like, oh, cute little baby. No. I
These
was
were-
blessed because they were already potty trained.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So
That was
praise
good.
Jesus for
Come
that.
on.
That
But
was
it
good.
was, it was like, it was having to teach these kids, realizing that, hey, these aren't like babies that I can cuddle and squish. Like these are past that stage into the, hey, they have personalities. They're small humans.
Yeah.
And they have things to say.
I think a lot of that was really hard for the both of us
Yeah.
during that time.
Yeah.
Is that, when you have a baby, you raise that child and mold that child. So they mimic you,
Right.
they take on your attributes and they do things. There was a lot of things that those kids were allowed to do and act, and how they were allowed to act that was not, it was very stressful for us.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And there were things they were trying to deal with
Yeah.
as toddlers and young children that they should have never had to deal with.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have even been a thing. And having to teach them how to like process that stuff, especially whenever we hadn't even processed our
Yeah,
stuff.
sure, you've got adults that aren't even like, what are
Oh,
we?
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it was crazy.
both of us had a lot of that hanging on to us, unprocessed things that we were carrying around too at the time.
Oh yeah, and we were not in church at this time.
No.
Like I was saved at a young age, but the church, it was not the best church for me. Not the best church for me.
That's a nice way to put it.
And so I had not been in church for years, had zero interest, had a lot of not so nice feelings for church and religion in general. And I was just like, I don't even want to deal with it, ain't going there, don't want to talk about it, leave me alone. That was kind of my attitude towards it for several years. So
Yeah, and I was brought up in a house, and we went to good churches and good family, and then I did the thing, the pure rebellion. As soon as I was no longer made to go to church anymore, I didn't go to church. I wasn't having anything to do with it, and I stayed away from it till I was 41.
because you're old.
Yeah, I was 41. It was right around 4 years ago, coming up on 4 years ago. First time I went to a church on my own where I wanted to go. I needed to go at the
Yeah.
time. Because a lot of those stresses that we were talking about with having those kids and different things that had went on had drove a huge wedge between us at that
Yeah.
time, and we were on our way to the divorce.
So you guys
And-
got married.
Yeah, we had-
we
during
were
this
married.
point
We got
here.
married in a tattoo shop
Let's go.
in
Yeah.
town. Yeah, we actually had to get married twice because the tattoo shop we were in had arcade games, and there were people already there, like people
Yeah.
who worked there, and a couple of our family members were like, "Oh, hey, let's look at this," and arcade games, and the kids
They
were
were
like,
playing games
"Arcade
with the kids." Yeah.
and talking to everybody and all this stuff. So we got married, and then everybody was like, "Oh no, we missed it! You have to do it again." So
Just like this episode.
we had
Yeah,
we-
oh, you
Best things
exactly.
in
We
life.
gotta do it
all
again.
the
Happened
time.
twice.
Yeah, so we had to do it again. I was in a Star Wars T-shirt and Chucks.
Let's go.
And we got married. Then we went and had sushi after, and I had a panic attack.
Yeah.
Great,
Nice.
great wedding day.
And Brent's just like, I never should have brought pizza.
I should have never brought
Never
pizza.
I should have just hung up on that.
He gave me like 2 or 3 chances. I could have ran.
the Walmart
Multiple
lady. Should have left the Walmart lady alone.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
I love it. And it's so unique hearing people's stories, and I love hearing it. It's funny that you say as far as about like being 41 before you ever went in church. I've got a friend, and I believe that he was 41. Had lived like a good life up till being 41, and then at 41 decided to start drinking and lived like crazy wild years throughout 50s and stuff. And he was like, I did it totally backwards. He's like, I was a saint. And then I hit 41, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So it seems like that's the age. So if you're 41, you're watching or listening, make a good decision.
This
Yeah.
is
Oh,
where
yeah.
it can turn.
This is
Yeah.
midlife, apparently,
Turning
nowadays.
point.
So you're at this point right now, and so stress, life, not in church,
Right.
at the breaking point of going through the big D.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually had a lawyer on retainer
Yeah.
for our divorce.
And
So
being raised in church, my parents had raised my brother and I both up in church, and I had turned away from it and didn't want anything to do with it. But because I had so many other coping mechanisms, I finally kind of said, I've got to try something different. I've turned to, all the other things. I've got to do something different this time. Mom and Dad always have seemed happy, so maybe I'll just try going to church. And funny kind of how I landed here is it was far enough out of town, and it was further away from where I lived before. I said, maybe nobody will know me. and nobody knew me.
You'd be amazed how many people tell me that story. I'm going to go somewhere nobody knows me, and I can just hide.
You didn't want any preconceived notions of you or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it worked for a short time, and then everybody. I mean, because that's what happens when you come in here. It's everybody knows you. They're going to see you. They're going to talk to you. They're going to try to, find out or help
Yeah.
in whatever
Todd and
situation you
JC
got
were
going
looking
on.
at you.
Yeah.
The Morrisons, Todd and Jason.
Yes.
Oh yeah. That's people that
Shout out to the first ever pod episode.
Oh yeah.
it was. And that's. I just came in here, looking, like I said, for something different from what I've always tried, and it obviously worked.
So it was just you coming.
Me and our oldest girl.
Okay.
She was the only one that would load up with me and come at first. Shortly after, the other 2 girls, from stories of our oldest, oh, well, they've got all this, they've got a playground, they've got this.
Yeah.
So
Oh
then
yeah.
they
It
want to
didn't
come.
take long to convince them.
Yeah.
And
plus, he had been the only father figure in their life for a long
Yeah.
time. Like, this was several years later, like 5 or 6 years later, since the initial drama.
Yeah.
And so he was their dad.
Right.
And we agreed very early on in our separation that the kids are first. Like,
Yeah.
our problems should not affect them, or if they do, as little as possible. So it was very much, hey, if you want to come get them, come get them. Like, if they want to spend time with you, you don't get a choice. You're going to spend time with
Yeah.
them because, we made this decision together, and we're going to take care of these kids.
So every Wednesday night, I come and picked them up, brought them here, and most of the time
Yep.
I would have them on the weekends, and they would come with me on Sundays also.
Now,
Yeah.
were you the only person, because like your brother, he comes to church here. Had he started coming, you were the first? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. His kind of like what I've heard part of your guys' story is that he noticed something different in me. He says, he says, that's not normal, little brother. I gotta go see what's going on.
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry to interrupt. I was just, I couldn't remember. So
No.
take it off.
No, yeah.
So how long did you come by yourself or with the kids?
It was a few months.
I think I started right before Christmas.
It was late in the year.
Yeah. And
Pre-COVID,
I think
post-COVID?
it was post-COVID.
Or
during?
We were coming down from
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah.
Okay.
We were coming down, which was a big, honestly, I will say right now, that was a big part of my problem. Because
Because you were in a hospital.
Yeah, I was in the hospital with COVID, and I actually went back to bedside, and I finished my in-person orientation, and the week I started orienting and training on the floor was when the mask mandates came down in
Lord.
Arkansas. And
Yeah.
I had been out of bedside for like 3 years at that point, doing other types of nursing, and I was working step down in ICU, cardiovascular step down in ICU, and COVID step down in ICU for 3 years at that point. And I was driving an hour and a half one way to work, and I was exhausted,
During all of it, yeah.
traumatized.
No.
Like
Oh,
you,
yeah. Can
imagine.
like I can tell you horror stories. I won't today, but if you know, I was literally front line. Like the bruises, you saw the whole thing where healthcare workers would have
Yeah.
bruises on their faces. I came
Yeah.
home, bruises on my face from the PPE, all that stuff. It was legit, and so all the drama, all the things, and then you add that on top of it. Like I was probably certifiably insane at that point. Sorry.
I know
No,
I was.
it was pretty.
Yeah.
I was also in a healthcare facility like when all that was happening, and I remember looking back. I tell him all the time, like, I don't know how you stayed married to me. Like,
Yeah.
I was not
Yeah.
the same person. I don't know who I was.
Yeah, it
I was
was
a crazy
yeah.
person.
I mean,
Yeah.
we'd even come down to the point of, we never did do it. We was going to set a camper up in our yard for her to stay in, just so she could be at home due to exposures.
Yep.
I mean, it was just,
Yeah, 'cause early
it was
on-
pulling us all apart
Right.
in the
Yeah.
house.
And it was terrifying. Like the kids were afraid because they knew what I
Everyone
did.
was at
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah.
in
Don't
life.
touch mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
look at
don't
mom.
touch mom.
She
don't
come
hug
home,
me.
went into a lot of times she would actually come home. There was a side door off of our bedroom. She would come in that door, and then she would stay in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
She wasn't
If-
coming
yeah,
out
on
into the
bad
regular
days.
part of the house.
Yeah. And if I felt even like the least bit sick, which, you know, you have that kind of stress, you feel like garbage all the
Yeah.
time. You know, if I felt the least bit sick or anything like that, it was, hey, you guys can't come in here. You can't, like, don't touch me. Don't come in the bedroom. You know,
Yeah.
suffer with your dirty clothes because the laundry room
Right.
is in here. Like, it was
Yeah.
that.
So through
that
this,
kind
then
of-
naturally, I would think that the kids would kind of lean towards you because
Yeah.
you're kind of the main. I mean, you're obviously working and doing all the things, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
when all these things are happening, so they're kind of naturally drawn to you.
Yeah.
And so for you, it sort of makes sense of, you know, you coming to church and then them being like, well, we might as well, you know, because that's who we're
Yeah.
with the most. And
Mm-hmm.
and so I guess take us through maybe that little bit of journey of time as far as you just bringing the kids by yourselves and then leading up to the point when you, however you wrangled
Yeah.
Walmart lady in with you or that.
You know, and it went on. I think it was like March or April before we started kind
Yeah.
of reconciling.
Yeah.
And before she started,
I realized how crazy I was.
she wanted, what was her words were, she wanted to prove to me that she was serious about really making it
Yeah.
work between
Yeah.
us. And this was something that, you know, I really had told her. I said, it's not going to change. I said, I've never felt this way in my life. And so we came for a while, like I said, somewhere mid-December.
So 3-4 months or so.
Yeah. And she started coming.
Initially, I will say, I think the very first time that I came was me trying to get a break from, we were staying at my dad's house.
Yeah,
and he,
you were.
again, had a small house, a lot of people living there, cramped space, multiple adults, multiple dynamics. Like, that's difficult on anybody. And it was one of those days where I couldn't take it. I was like, I need out of this house.
I think.
And at this time, our nephew actually was staying with his dad for a little bit as like a trial because he wanted to move back in with his dad, and his dad was more than willing. He was very happy. And so he was kind of over there for a few weeks on a trial basis to see how it went. So it was just me and the girls there at the time.
She came the first few times to church, and it was a little cynical. She was being a little cynical about
so
things.
Nice.
She
You're
would
so
be
nice to
she would
me.
be Googling stuff on her phone, trying to disprove what was
Pastor Christy of
Pastor
all
Christy
people.
and
She and I have
Pastor
talked
Mike
about
different
this.
times. Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this, and I laugh at it now because I'm like, oh, my audacity.
And she didn't. But what I think, I got her hemmed up in a truck on a drive to Little Rock. We were going to a 3D archery
Yeah, we were
tournament.
going to an archery meet.
3D archery tournament down in Little Rock. I got her hemmed up, and that's when I just started laying it out for her. And I was like, look, this is how it's going to be. This is how I'm going to be if you're going to have to do this. And it broke through a little bit, but then...
Well, I realized, you know, with my childhood and how everything had gone, I was like, this is not what I want. This is
Right.
not what I want. And we had that whole super professional and adult conversation at your work.
Yeah, that was impressive.
And I was like, this, you know, we realized that we actually do love each other and that we're both stupid.
And sometimes it's just got to come
That-
to
that is
that's
exactly
really,
the
that's
outcome
exactly
of
what
that.
it was, because it was like, oh wow, we actually are this dumb. Okay, now that we know that,
Now that we got this out of the way.
now that we
Yeah.
understand,
Go get me a pizza.
yeah,
Let's just call it
yes,
good.
we'll just get pizza and talk it out.
Pizza.
So yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, I know what I want, and I want to be married to this weird guy, and I want my kids to have two parents in the home. Like, this is what I want. This is what I've dreamed of since I was a little kid. I was like, so I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this work, because it's not like our relationship failed because there was any type of like super bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally just us being stupid.
Yeah, it really was.
Lack of communication. And I was just like, okay, like if you're serious about it, then I'll be serious about it. Like we'll just go with it. And so I started coming with him and everything, and I was like, okay, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm trying, putting the effort in. And there was a day, I will say this, there's a lot of people don't know this, but shockingly, I used to have a lot of mental health issues. Yeah. And I had a couple of diagnoses on me at the time, and I was trying to figure that out. And didn't handle stress well, had zero coping mechanisms that were in any way healthy. And so I was like, okay, so trying to figure all of this out, go to church, all of this. And one of the symptoms I had started having was I was having these complex migraines.
I remember.
I had
this.
never had migraines in my life up until our separation. And then I started having these migraines, and they made me crazy. Like, I couldn't remember things. I couldn't talk.
Like you even drove home from Mountain Home.
Had
Drove back
no-
to Harrison from Mountain Home, didn't even remember.
Oh, there's like a 2-week block that
Yeah.
I don't remember because I had a migraine that entire time. It was like I forget what they call it, like a complex abnormal migraine or something. I can't remember. And yeah, it was like I had like stroke symptoms. It made me look like I was having a stroke, and I would act like I was having a stroke. And so I was having these migraines, and well, I was having one, but it was like just pain, like straight up migraine pain, photosensitivity, nausea, all the stuff. And I was like, oh, I promised Brent that I was going to go to church on a Wednesday night. I don't know if I can do this. I'm dying. So we came in, and it was still when we had the balcony and the smaller, before we did the big renovation and everything. And I had to wear my sunglasses in the sanctuary. We were in
Yeah.
the very back row under the balcony behind the soundboard where there was like little to no light.
It was dark back there.
It was dark back there.
Actually,
And
she
I
was, like, turning
I
around
was
facing
turned
the back
around,
wall.
crouched down in the pew because I was like, it feels like there's an ice pick in my brain. And I can't tell you what song we sang. I can't tell you who preached. I can't tell you what they talked about. I have no idea. But at the end, they were like, if you need prayer, and I told him, I was like, I think I need some prayer, because I had taken the medicine, I had done all the things, nothing was helping, like nothing was touching this migraine. And he like basically carries me up there. I don't know who prayed for me. I have no idea. And they prayed over me about this migraine. And by the, they stopped praying, and I was like, okay. And we turn around and we're walking back. And before we got to the back of the sanctuary, my sunglasses were off.
Come on.
I had no nausea. My pain was gone. By the time we walked out of the sanctuary doors, every symptom of that migraine was gone.
Wow.
And FYI, I've never had another one
Never
since.
been
Come
back.
on.
That's
Praise
awesome.
Jesus.
On a
That's-
Wednesday night,
Yep.
people.
That's
On
awesome.
a Wednesday
So
night.
people say that Wednesday night's just nothing.
Right.
It's just midweek
Wednesday night ain't
service.
nothing.
Yeah.
Put a
and you know,
timestamp on that. We're going to use that for a Wednesday.
yeah.
Yeah, sometime. That's awesome.
You want to know the crazy thing, though? The really crazy thing? Because they talk about don't challenge God, right? I have multiple stories about this and my own audacity and my own pride with God, because whew, I am disrespectful. So, or I used to be. So the whole thing that led up to that was that Sunday before I had came to church again, and I was like, okay, so I talked to Brent. We're doing this. This is how we're going to live our life. And in my prayer, I was like, okay, God, you want me here? You got me here. My husband's here. My kids are here. Prove it.
Oof.
Prove it. You want me here? You want me to do this for real? Prove it.
He says, okay.
And he said, bet.
Watch this.
Watch
Watch
this.
this sunglass lady.
Hold,
Like, okay.
hold my tea. I got
Yeah.
this.
And, hey, for some people, that's
It's
for
what they need.
right? Especially like some people that are just hard headed. They're like, "This is
Oh.
God's. I'm going to do it this way."
Oh, yeah. And
Um,
that's what it took.
And that's cool. And you know, obviously, you're committed now, and through that, and some of those things. And so you go through that. This is 2021 ish or
No.
so, or this is post that.
2022.
Okay, so you've been here for a little bit then,
Probably,
kind of
yeah.
off and on
Yeah.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
then, I guess take me a little bit now between like 2022 to maybe present day where we are, because obviously like we can see the growth in you guys and just all the things that have happened, and your kids being here and your family and just different things and all these different things. Maybe tell us like what God was doing over like the last few years of these things, and from a miracle moment that I didn't even know
Yeah.
about this,
Oh, yeah.
and from you being man of the house, stepping up, saying
This is how it's gonna
you're gonna be
be.
here, because that's super rare. It's usually
Right.
the other way around.
Honestly,
It
yeah.
really is.
It's majority women coming by themselves, praying that their husband would show up. So already really unique story here. Tell us about, as far as like maybe like the next steps after that. Cause, you talked about you were raised in church, so you know some stuff. You were,
I was raised in church, but it was a very different church.
Oh, yeah,
It
yeah,
was-
you said-
it-
yeah, you told us
it
about
was,
that.
It
Very-
was
very
Jesus,
different.
but it was different.
so tell us about maybe as far as like, some of the learning together or being here, adapting, questions, thoughts. I mean, obviously you're fact checking pastors.
Yeah, fact check.
Right.
This is why I study extra hard for I preach. 'Cause, like, I always think like,
Somebody's
I
gonna
want
meet
what
me
I
in the
say.
hallway and ask about
They're
this.
gonna say, "Look, sure."
I
Actually,
Googled this.
actually, Chad told me that. No,
Yep,
so
yep.
We just, and pastors talked about it. All the pastors talked about it. Marriage restoration. I think what we had to do is, at the point that we were when we started coming here, there wasn't a lot to restore because we had already broke it all down. Is he had to build new, and it wasn't something that her or I either one could do. It
Yeah.
had to be God to fix
Yeah.
what we had messed up.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
We couldn't. We had already messed it up. So we already proved that we couldn't do it on our own.
We
so
had
we had to
multiple
have
examples.
a lot of other direction, and there's tons of classes here to go do, and we've
Get in a class.
Yeah, classes
go
are always
to
great.
Class.
they're about to be
Go to
Starting up
groups.
in the fall.
Yep,
Yep.
they'll be
And
on.
Yes, life groups are
And then
important.
you can get on your church app, and it'll show that you've been a part of a group, and
Yeah, it's a
all
new
your bubbles will
badge
be
now.
filled.
I
Get your
know.
badges.
Get your badges lit. Not all these plugs.
Ooh, I am upset. I don't know how to get my baptism badge lit up.
Have you been baptized?
I have.
Okay, then I'll do it on the backside.
Thank
Got you.
God,
We have to submerge your phone in water so it knows.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
fine.
this phone that I have, I swear it's
I've done
indestructible,
that
so it'd be
plenty
fine.
times anyway.
Honestly.
Right. No, we started. He was already serving when I came, He was
Just
just
started.
starting. He was just
Started
starting to
serving
serve.
here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was still trying to like figure it out because I really kind of felt like a baby deer. and I was also at this time because God tore me down so hard, like so hard. I needed it though, like it was important. And I was having to actually, and I've had this conversation with him, I was having to learn how to be a person. Like, because I realized that all I was a walking trauma response.
Yeah.
I didn't have personality. I didn't have like likes and dislikes. I was literally just like a walking trauma response. That was my whole personality. And that was really, really hard. Like how old was I? I was like 32 or 33, and
Yeah.
I realized for the first time in my life that I don't like eggs.
Okay.
Like, that was like a profound
I was,
realization
like,
for me.
30 and realized I did like eggs.
Yeah, it was
So,
crazy. It was, see,
You took her like.
Yeah, just took it right away.
We just swapped.
But yeah, so I was like having to learn like basic things on how to be a person. And he's all over here thriving, which was amazing to watch.
Shame on you.
I mean,
Shame on
Oh,
you for thriving.
absolutely no
I'm
shame,
sorry.
because I loved it. Like seeing him like come alive in a way
Yeah.
I'd never seen before was
I hadn't
so
felt
cool.
it before. I mean,
It was
that
so
wasn't
cool.
something that I had experienced at all.
Yeah, and seeing him be a dad to our kids, to our girls, I was like, is this what this is supposed to be like?
I'm supposed to
Is
fall in
this
love with
for
you
real?
again.
I'm supposed to
All
do this
over again?
all over again? Okay. It was great. So we're doing that. And one of the biggest things that I struggled with, honestly, was like within the church was like tithing. I was like, I work hard for this money. I worked hard for my degree. I work overtime. I work nights. Man, I mean, it's hard to let go of your purse strings, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I've got 3 kids and we have all these bills, and you can find any excuse in the book to not tithe. And we had talked about it. We kind of touched on it, and he was more willing than I was. And I was kind of like, oh. And I had some bad experiences with churches and tithing in the past. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. I'll pray about it. I'm trying to figure out how to actually pray and not just whine all the time. And so I was like, okay, we'll have more conversations. We'll pray about it. We'll see what happens. And he's like, okay, that's fine. He was so patient with me.
Yeah. I
Oh
see.
my
I grew up in a household where my parents tithed, faithfully. They always did. And I saw it work. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize that's what I saw then.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I actually knew that's what was happening. But I saw it work, and it was just trying to talk her into it for a little while.
He like when I hear people talk about the patience of the Holy Spirit, like patience of the Holy Spirit looks like my husband. Because seriously,
I do have 3 teenage girls at home.
and me.
Honestly.
Prayers would be
Hats
appreciated.
off to you.
But yeah, so there was, I don't remember exactly what it was. I don't know. I don't think it was a full-blown message because it was like May. So I think it was just like a pre-sermon thing. Hey, look at this scripture that has to do with tithing. This is what we do with this money. This is, just a little like spiel about that. And it stayed with me through the whole service. I was like, I'd never heard it put that way, because phrasing and diction for me is like a big thing. Pastor Christy and I have talked about this a lot too. We're both word people. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, I've never heard it put that way. And I sat there and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. Well, we're driving home after church. And I was like, hey, I think we need to talk about tithing. And he goes, oh, thank God.
Oh, she brought it up, so that means it's a go.
And he was like, yes. And I was like, okay, so next week we'll start tithing. He goes, that sounds great.
Done. Wish more people are like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you hear, it's really funny because you talk about how we're backwards. You hear all these stories about how the wives have to nag and be patient with their husbands. It's the exact opposite with us. Like, I'm the one that has to be convinced of everything.
A little bit.
And so we started tithing. And it was hard. It was really hard because I was like, man, this is like a week's worth of groceries. I have growing kids at home. That's groceries for the whole week, or a big chunk of groceries or something like that. It was like, but I was like, okay, we're trusting. I had to tell myself that a lot. We're trusting. And a couple weeks later, or maybe like a month later, I don't remember exactly.
It was right during when we were starting to go through the adoption process.
Yeah, we were starting to work through the adoption process for
For
our
the
two
two younger
littles.
girls.
Yeah, our two little.
They're not little anymore.
They're always going to be my littles.
They're not little.
Yeah, they're going to be my age, and it's like, oh, there's my little.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we were like, okay, we've been talking about adopting them for a few years now, but it's expensive. Like, we kind of got to cheat the system a little bit because I was a blood relative.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit different for us, but it was still expensive.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
lawyers cost
definitely is.
money. They cost dollars.
Yes.
And we had saved up some. And I had talked to my lawyer, and I was like, hey, how much is this going to cost? She actually gave us a discount because I had already spent so much money with her.
Yeah.
God bless you. And so we were working with this, and we're like, okay, so we have this number, and we are not there. So we're like, okay, so we will just cut the budget, like beans and rice,
Ramen.
Ramen, cheap chicken, all the things. Like, this is what we're going to do for a few months until we can save this money so we can file for adoption, because this needs to happen. We need the security. Our girls deserve the security. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And it was a worry for me because, I'd raised those girls because, there was like 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. 3 and 4 when she got them initially. And I'm like, well, what would happen to my kids? Like, I'm not on any of the paperwork involving that. What would happen to my kids? Mm-hmm. And it worried me.
Yeah, it worried me too. And so we're like, okay, we're going to get this done. And it was a Sunday, I think. It was a Sunday morning, and I think you were volunteering
I
or
was
something.
I was on security that morning.
And for some reason, Maya was in service with me. Maya's our middle child. She's the curly-headed one. And she was in service with me. I don't remember why, for some reason. And it came time for the tithe, and we'd been tithing, and I was doing it on the app. And
Thanks for the plug.
It's the easiest way. Just
using
FYI.
it on the church app.
So much easier.
And I was explaining to her, because when I was a kid, no one taught me about this stuff. So I was like, me and him agreed, we're going to teach.
Yeah.
We're going to teach our kids. So I'm talking to her. I'm like, hey, this is God's portion. Like, this is what we give. This is why we give, going over everything. And I was like, okay, so now we know how much we're supposed to give. So we pray over it, and she and I prayed over it. And by the way, Maya's prayers are so sweet. I love them. And so we prayed over it together, and then we submitted the tithe and everything. And there just happened to be a lady sitting next to me in the church who heard this whole conversation. And I had seen her, but I didn't like know her, right? Still new to the church. I don't know anybody still. And the service went on, all this stuff. And of course, altar call. This was whenever I was still like sobbing every service.
We've all been there.
Ugly
Yes,
cries.
definitely been there.
And so I'm up in the altar and I'm praying and all this stuff. And next thing I know, I feel this hand on my shoulder. And she puts her hand in my hand with this piece of paper. And she's like, he heard you and I heard you. He's like, you know what this is for. Just don't tell anybody that I gave it to you. You know who you are. I love you dearly. And she walked away. And it was a check for the exact amount we needed to complete the adoption.
Yeah.
You want to talk about ugly cry? Oh my Lord, it was bad.
I thought something terrible had happened.
He thought
She
somebody
come
had
running
died.
out of the sanctuary and found me and was almost in a panic and was
Like,
I'm
what is
what
going
happened?
on?
What happened? And then we both just stood over there and cried once
Yeah.
she told me what had happened. What had,
Wow.
it
Yeah.
was,
Yep.
It's beautiful.
and it's
Yep.
just like I said, that's what I saw as a kid, but never really realized it.
Oh,
Never
yeah.
had it, and now
Firsthand.
Oh yeah.
now
Here it is.
I'm
Yep.
just pretty much all in.
Man,
Might
that's
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Like it was the most amazing thing, because it was like I can't even wrap my head around this, because it wasn't like it was just an arbitrary number. Like there was an exact dollar amount.
Yeah.
And that was what was on that check. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we hadn't really talked to anybody about our situation with the kids. Like, I think there's people still in the church that don't know that our girls are adopted.
Yeah.
They don't care if people know. They like to make jokes about it, so it's fine.
I think the only person that I'd ever actually really talked about was my brother. I mean, because by that point that he was coming here and he knew everything anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so we go through with the adoption, we get all of that taken care of, and Pastor Mike and Pastor Christy actually went with us on our final court date, and were there with
I
us.
actually kind of remember that.
With
I
the
remember them
girls,
saying that
yeah.
they were going or something for that.
Yeah, with the girls, and it was just it was the coolest thing ever. It was such a great day. It was stressful. It was a very stressful day, but it ended up everything went perfectly
Yep.
smooth. I mean, it was fantastic.
Just
And then-
exactly how we
and then-
hoped.
Yeah, just exactly how we hoped. And then the girls were adopted, and now they're stuck with us forever, and they
ever
can't get
and
away.
ever and ever.
That is like that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially when it's things like that, like when it's the exact number that you need, and it's just like
Yeah.
you can't tell me that
Oh, yeah.
he doesn't
No.
know what he's
I mean-
doing.
Oh, yeah.
That having that conversation about giving with your child, like it works, and we don't
Yeah.
understand it,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
And I can personally attest to your story. Both of my sisters, and they've been here before off and on. They are both same situation, that our stepdad, that he legally adopted them. And so I remember that same thing of, going to court, and that it was all of us, and we're in the judge's office basically, and he's like, asking these questions and these things. And I remember being there that day and like not even fully understanding everything. I mean, I was older than them, but I just remember crying of like just being so happy of like they've got his last name now.
Yeah.
And like even though
The relief.
even though
Yeah.
like
Yes.
we've lived forever, like they have his, and they call him dad. Like it's the same
yeah.
thing
Right.
of like that's
Oh,
just
yeah.
all that they know.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing, and
Oh, yeah.
and I thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
I just had this conversation with another friend that I believe that was his niece. His niece and her husband, same thing. They just adopted a couple kids that they had taken in and legally got their name changed. And so for someone that has lived through that, it's a beautiful thing. And
Yep.
I'm just glad that God can be a part of it.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just a pure relief for me. I mean, I still get emotional sometimes when I
Yeah.
sit and think about it, because it's just, they were already my girls.
Yeah.
They're already my daughters. But it had to be put that way so I didn't have to worry.
And I don't want to be too like preachy on this, but I think it's the same way of like I would think of how God has to feel about us. Of like when we finally come to that realization, it's the migraine story, it's this, and it's this realization of He's like, you've been mine the whole time,
Right?
Yeah,
but it's finally this like
it's official.
you've been. We talk about being born again, like in that born again, it's like it's official.
Yeah.
You are mine.
Yeah.
And sometimes that comes with extra discipline, but
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of
it is
extra.
these of like you are mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have known you this whole time, but finally, and I think that's just a beautiful part of the story here in your guys' life. And I know I alluded to in the beginning of like where we're trying to get to, and that was that story, and it's incredible to hear that and of just testimony of what God is doing, because it started having that conversation, sitting in your seat, hey, this is what we're going to give. And then it took the obedience of somebody else
Yes.
living
Yeah.
in generosity,
Yes.
because had that person not been obedient, who knows
Yes.
what
Right.
sure would have eventually happened, probably,
Eventually.
but that person, and then to go and the story, and that to see all of your girls running through church and there's just, it's a beautiful thing, and we
Yeah.
love your kids dearly, and love you guys dearly, and thank you for doing it, of taking that extra step and showing what parenting really looks like. It's not perfect. I mean, and
No.
It's messy.
and
at
I don't know, and I
times.
can't speak to the full extent of it, but of you guys that you're here and you're serving and you both work, different jobs and hours and life is crazy and
Yeah.
these things, but it's like you're here and you're
Yeah.
faithful and you're raising your kids and they're learning and they're getting
Yes.
it. Even for like, they're always so excited, like when they, the rock candy thing, like they're
Rock
always,
candy and the
Yes.
chocolate covered
they're
raisins.
always like,
Oh, yeah.
They
but,
know our love language.
but it's like they listen,
Yeah.
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 You're listening, they're also listening. And so it's a Wednesday night and I make some silly joke about loving rock candy and her chocolate covered raisins, and then they show up with it, and it's just like they're getting, not that it's bringing us a gift, but it's like they're paying attention.
Yeah.
And that in however many years they're going to have the same experience that you guys are having, because I was faithful, because I gave. Yeah, it might
Yes.
be candy, but as we get older, God starts more
Sure.
and more,
Yes.
and
Yes.
asking us, and the reward is that much greater.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And anything you want to add on that there.
beautiful.
And you know, really for the whole purpose of this episode was I wanted people to hear your guys' entirety of the story. As we're kind of finishing up this episode here, one, maybe not everybody gets to know you guys and know your story and know the story of the girls and all those things. And, you know, it's a journey. Everybody that's been on these episodes, everybody that sits in those chairs in the sanctuary, people are probably looking like, where are they even at? We're in the church. But everybody that sits in those chairs, it's every single person has a story on how they got here. Everybody wandered in. Everybody was either looking for a place to hide, or somebody invited them, or their kids made them go.
Oh, yeah.
And yet everybody that's here, everybody's got their own unique story. And there's a lot of other people, I think, that can benefit from hearing what you guys have gone through. And maybe it is people that are listening and, you know, they are thinking about throwing in the towel on their marriage, and maybe they just didn't realize that they're being stupid, and just go get a pizza. Go get a pizza. Go to Walmart. You know, I don't know.
Have the conversation.
Have the conversation. Lock her in the truck with you.
Yeah.
Within legal bounds, but
Tripped a little off,
just
the wrong
getting
way.
But I think that, you know, it's just people need to hear this. People need to hear that you know, that marriage isn't perfect and that these things happen. But that, you know, if you're watching, you're listening, and you have children, that God's trusted you with them, and that's a special gift to have on that. So any closing thoughts from you as far as on this here? Anything else that you guys want to add to this as we're kind of closing this out here?
Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for having us.
Thank you so much for showing back up after we stood you up.
Stood us up.
But such a beautiful episode. And again, thank you guys so much for being here, for sharing this. I believe it's going to touch a lot of people, and that a lot of people are going to be able to grow from this. And I want to thank all of you that are watching or that you've been listening to us. Thank you so much for being a part of today's episode. Hope that you have enjoyed it. We got more coming for you. As promised, we don't have a schedule right now because it's crazy summertime. But we are so thankful for all of our listeners, our followers. Do me a huge solid. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe. And if you're on the other different platforms, we want you to do the same on there. And share the episode. Get it out there. Hey, maybe you know somebody that is dealing with some of the things that have been discussed today. Send it to them. Share it with them. And because we know that people can benefit from hearing this. So once again, Michaela, thank you for being with us. Brent, Grace, thank you for joining us on today's
Anytime.
episode.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the pod.